right. Here she
I
is.
did it.
Hey, we did it, Alyce. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Yay. Okay, we're live. So I'm going to be watching a little bit of a background. So Alyce, spelled differently to me. Alyce Lauren. She is on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So you can go and have a look for her because she has a lot of blogs and being a writer, of course. And she talks a lot about her journey through life. The abuse that she suffered as a very, very young child, and how she deals with it. So for people out there who are watching who may have any kind of abuse background, we're just putting a trigger warning out with this video. So if it's becoming too difficult for you to watch or hear, please move and go and find something else to do, or go and contact a friend, have a little conversation with them. But in the meantime, these things need to be talked about. So welcome, Alyce, to SEMPI Real Conversations.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to have you on as a guest.
Hello.
Yay.
I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful. So tell us, where are you, Alyce?
I am in New York.
Okay. So wonderful that I'm sitting here in Australia, a couple of hours from Sydney, and you're over in New York, and we're able to have a conversation about mental health and abuse. So, yeah, could you just tell us a little bit about you?
Okay, so I guess I started blogging about a year and a half ago to get a lot of my anger issues and, issues I was having out. And it ended up being that a lot of people liked what I was saying, because I wasn't really sugarcoating anything. I was really like either putting my feelings into poetry that I write or my story that I write. And to my surprise, I found that a lot of people really, it hit home with them and they liked it. So I feel like I kind of became a speaker for the people who don't have a voice yet.
Okay, wonderful. And this is really, really important. And this is one of the main reasons why we're having this interview today, because there are a lot of people who'll be watching from wherever they are who haven't developed a voice yet. And it's people like you who are really, really on the front line now, who are the warriors, who are basically forging the way ahead for people to have a voice, because previously a lot of them haven't. So
yes,
really, really well done, Alyce.
Thank you.
So yeah, it's really, really important and really powerful, and you're part of a big network over on Twitter who's doing this. And so I just wanted to see if you'd like to talk a little bit about your childhood, what it was like for you, what are the main things that you generally talk about, and what messages do you want people to hear?
The main message and the most important thing that I want people to hear is that you are not what happened to you. Okay? You're not the things that were done to you. You're so much more than that. And people take all of that and they use it. And a lot of things I see on TV and also in schools, they really, really make my heart want to cry because of the abuse that they've been through. So that's one of the reasons why I really felt the need to write, because I don't want people to feel that way. They are not the only one. I mean, everyone has their different form of abuse. There's no one better than the other or one worse than the other. It's abuse is abuse, period. And everyone has their own story, and some people are afraid to talk, which is fine. And there are some people like me who just want to just shout to the world, enough with this, let's talk about it, and I use my words, my writing for it to talk about it.
Wonderful, because I think a lot of the abuse happens in the shadows, in the darkness, and that's not okay. And up until previously a lot of people who've been the perpetrators have been relying on the victims to not speak up. So, and times have changed. Times have changed big time. So there's a lot of people now with a big, big voice, and you're one of them. So I'm very grateful that you're doing that.
I'd like to think so. I really would. I'm sorry. I have someone who's saying something to me on my page. But I'd like to think that I'm making a difference. You know, some days I feel like I'm not, just like every normal person does, you know, and some days I feel like I really helped somebody. It's hard though. It's like nobody wants to talk about it. It's like you know, like a long time ago when cancer was they never said the word cancer. You know,
yes,
I remember,
that's right.
yeah, it's like any type of I'm about to say a trigger word, so I just want people to know this.
Okay.
Anything about sexual abuse, about rape, is like, oh, don't say that word. You know, it's her fault. It's this, it's that. No, it's not the girl's fault, you know? And it's the people who, what I've noticed is the people who have you know, who are like in positions of school teachers, let's say nursery schools. I'm not going into politics, don't worry. But all those people basically get by. They get off. You know, it's like, oh, no, I didn't do that. Oh, the kid's lying. No, kid isn't lying. The kid is actually really trying to say, hello, I need someone to listen to me. And nobody thinks that this is really happening to me.
Yeah, okay. So you're saying that a lot of the kids out there need to be listened to more. And if they are speaking up and saying something, then the adults really need to take notice and focus in and listen hard to that little voice.
It's like, it's not just a story that, I mean, there are people who have ruined it for some of us. I'm going to say there are people who do lie, but the ones, you know what I mean? But the ones that really, but the ones that really, really, really suffer from it are the ones that really it happened to.
Yeah.
And it's a lasting lifetime. It's not just like, you can't wake up one day and go, you know what? I think I'm going to be okay. No, okay, you're going to be okay for that day, but then there's triggers. You see a person that looked like that person, a smell, you know, an item.
Okay, so you're talking from experience here, aren't you?
Yeah, now I'm talking about experience where you know, I guess that's what I'm getting into now.
Okay.
Am I getting way too ahead?
No, of course not. No, it's really important that you get to talk about your experience here. We just need to keep some context so that people who are watching who don't know your backstory understand what we're talking about.
Well, my backstory is going to have a lot of triggers for women and men. It happens to men too.
Yep.
Okay, sorry, it does. So my story happened when I was 2 years old. And I was just a baby at 2 years old. And my, see, this is what I want you to see. I want you to see my reaction to her question about this, how I'm reacting to it now, because now I'm changing my, you know, my voice changing a little bit. And that's, that's normal. Okay.
Yep.
For you out there, it's normal.
Yes, so before we started this interview, I made it clear that if Alyce is triggered at all during this, she wants us to keep doing the interview so that people out there can actually see her true reaction to the questions and how hard it is for her to talk about it, and when she's getting triggered, what it's like for her, and she still wants to tell the story. So take it away. You can stop at any time.
Okay, well, there'll probably be a few pauses.
Okay.
When I was 2, my memory will crawl way back to that. What I call my father is, I put a monster father in front of it, because that's the only way I can deal with even that name or that word.
Your adopted father.
Yeah.
Yep.
Monster is the word I use.
Yep.
I started to get molested by him. It pretty much happened on a nightly basis. My mother knew, and she just didn't care. She was sick, and I'm not giving her the excuse that she was sick. Okay, she had multiple. Had multiple sclerosis. She was sick. Okay, and that does not give her an excuse for doing what she did to me. So she didn't care. Whatever was happening to me, it's mine. I had to deal with it at a very young age, too young to be dealing with it, and the feelings that came up with it. And then I guess, nature takes over and jealousy comes in.
Okay.
If you get it from her point of view, that's her husband. What is she doing? What is he doing with this kid? Because she made it very clear that I wasn't hers.
Okay.
Okay.
So these two people adopted you at 1, and at age 2, you were starting to be molested by your adopted monster. You call him, not necessarily father.
Mm-hmm.
And she was very, very sick and had MS, not an excuse,
Nope.
but knew about what was going on between the male who adopted you, and basically didn't stop it. Is that right?
Yeah, she didn't stop it. She actually encouraged me to do it. He'll buy you things, and I used to think in my head, this is wrong. This is wrong.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, I started fighting back.
Okay.
And that's when I started.
What age were you when you started fighting back, Alyce?
I think probably around 7 years old, maybe. I started fighting back, because what he started doing was he started drugging me.
Okay, so for the 5 years prior to that, it must have been terribly confusing for you.
Yeah, I'd wake up, I'd have no clothes on, with no recollection of what happened to me. I'd wake up with these scratches and marks on my body. As being a young kid, what is it? You don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And
so 7, he started drugging you, did you say?
Yeah, what he did was he took fruit, and he took peaches. And I remember this so vividly, because I used to sit there and I used to wonder what he was doing. And he used to cut them into 8 little quarter squares, and used to drop them in alcohol. And there were a couple of the jars in the refrigerator. There must have been like 5 jars, because it has to absorb the alcohol, right? So then I would eat them. And when I ate them, I would obviously fall asleep, right? So then I got to the age where I didn't eat it anymore. And I really I was fighting for my life. I would hit him. I would scream. I would shout. I would pull my hair, and it didn't matter. Nothing helped. Just kept on coming and coming and coming and coming. And I just felt like a never ending dread. And that's a kid,
Yeah. Horrible.
And I can't.
Not what should be. No.
Okay, I'm crying right now. So, but
I see that. Just take in it and take as much time as you need.
I would go to school, and I'd have all these marks on my body, and nobody ever noticed me. It's like it's like it was invisible. I have no idea. I couldn't figure out why I was invisible. I was told I had a lot of learning disabilities. And I was sent to a psychiatrist that I talked to that didn't believe me.
How old were you then?
10.
So at 10, the molestation had been going on now for basically 8 years.
Well,
and
the molestation turned into rape.
Okay. And by the time you finally got to see a psychiatrist and actually use your little girl voice at 10 years of age, they didn't believe you.
No.
How awful. And this is, at this point, I want to say to everybody, while you just take a breath, if you have a child come to you and say anything about being hurt by another person, you really need to listen and you really need to believe them.
Yes.
It's crucial.
Yes.
Sorry, Alyce.
No.
Anytime you're ready.
I have, when I started remembering flashbacks, they were the worst. They were like, what I learned in therapy, they were like post-traumatic stress disorder.
Sure.
And it felt like I was there, like it was real. And I thought I was crazy. I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought that, what's wrong with you? You're not like everybody else, Now, let's see, we're hitting into 11, 12 years old now, okay?
Yeah.
Not having too many, I didn't really have too many friends because I wasn't allowed to. Anytime I did have a friend, he would, he wouldn't let me go out. He tried to control me. So I snuck out. And I started and then this is about 13. I started drinking, and I smoked pot, and I drank Jack Daniels.
At 13.
And I became an alcoholic at 13.
Okay.
It's like it eased the pain. You know what I mean? It just took everything away. Everything was gone. But I still did not deal with the fact that what happened to me. I was just kind of putting it off. And at the time, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And one day, I had a friend who used me, for the marijuana, for the pot. Back then in the day, it was, I don't know if people can remember this, at my age. If you live in New York, you would go down to the Bronx, and you would have a $5 bill or a $10 bill, and you would buy a nickel bag. And that was what I did. And I actually walked into the den of the dealers myself and stuck my hand through a hole, gave them the money, and then put them, I can't believe, I look back at this and I think I'm crazy. gave him the money, and took the drugs.
So you were very, very young, and you were going in and buying what you were calling a nickelback, which is not a term I'm familiar with here in Australia.
Nickel bag. It was
Nickel
about
bag.
It was about that big, and it had,
okay.
you know, it turned into a really bad habit because I was doing it by myself.
Okay.
Now you're probably going to hear people out there, oh, it was just, you know, marijuana. To a 13-year-old, no, it's not just that. It's trying to get away from something.
Yeah.
But the alcohol was my biggest problem.
Okay, so if anyone's sitting in judgment of you now, I want them to please stop doing that and open your heart and just listen to this story, please. So, and yeah, marijuana on a 13-year-old's brain is really bad. And so is alcohol on a 13-year-old's brain, because it's very, very bad combination. So, and I know it sounds like you were doing that to get away from all that had happened, and the fact that you weren't believed. And still, and here we are at 13. And had anybody spoken to you at this point, Alyce?
No.
Okay.
I don't think they cared. You know, I really don't. I really don't think they cared. And at that point in my life, I didn't care that they didn't care.
Sure. Why should we care about ourselves if we don't think other people care about us?
Yeah.
Yes, I hear this a lot. Yes.
There was a point in my life where my father, my monster father, would keep me home from school because the nurses that took care of my mother, because she had MS, she would chase them away. She was a very mean lady. They would leave and they wouldn't come back. So I ended up being a nurse at the age of 14, staying home, not going to school, changing diapers.
Okay.
I know how to put a catheterizer in because of her.
Okay. It's a big thing for a 14-year-old to be doing.
Yeah. My father had a gun in the house. And this is where I'm talking about suicide, okay? So I want you people to really listen.
Yeah, okay. So this a bit of a trigger warning here, people. So Alyce is about to start talking about suicide, the stuff around suicide in her growing up. So, yeah.
So I knew where it was. And it scared me that I knew where it was because I was afraid I was going to do something. So one day I was helping my mother, and she started yelling at me some really horrible names. And then she told me to kill her. And I looked at her and I'm like, no. What are you talking about? She goes, she wanted me to kill her and shoot her with the gun in the room. So I got lost in my head a little bit. Didn't know how to deal with it. And I went and I got it, and instead of putting it to her head, I put it to mine. And she goes, do it. Just do it. She's telling me to do it to myself. And something in my head said, no, don't.
Okay.
Don't do it.
Okay.
So
Thank goodness.
Well, that's why I'm here in front of you.
Thank goodness you did. You listened to that. Whoever that was. Thank goodness.
And I got so afraid that I was going to do it that I took the gun and I threw it into somebody's garden, so I'd never see it again.
Okay.
And when that was gone, I felt a little better, because I did have that thought in my head that I could use the gun to kill myself.
Okay.
I just think about all the people who do it, and then that moment when that little voice in your head says no. Some people they go past that and they just do it.
Yeah.
And everybody's life is worth so much more than they think. It is worth so much more than they think they are. They are precious. They are here for a reason. I'm here for a reason.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. You're here for a reason.
Then I started running away. And nobody would look for me. I would just run away, had nowhere to go, had no money, and I would run to the woods, and I'd sit in the woods and cry. And I missed a whole year of high school because I didn't want to go. So I had to redo it. In between that, I became a woman. I got my period. Once I got my period, it was more than a normal rate. It became like sodomy. If that's the right word I'm talking about. If I really want to use a trigger word, like being forced to have anal sex.
Okay, yeah, that's the right word. Yeah.
And I remember screaming and crying, and the pain, and then trying to go to the bathroom the next day was blood dripping out, and sometimes I would remember, sometimes I wouldn't remember. And it just kills me that nobody saw me. It's like I was this invisible waste of a person that you could just throw out. And I know a lot of kids feel that way.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's not true.
No, I agree. It's totally not true. It's absolutely not true. And it's a basic human need to matter. And to not have that basic human need met is huge. It really, really stays with us for our entire lives unless we do work on ourselves and we start to care on ourselves and we believe that we matter. And it's a hard place to get to sometimes. And I'm so, so terribly sorry that that is the emotion that you had growing up most of your life.
The way I look at it is this way. It happened to me so I can help others, so it doesn't happen to them.
Okay. Okay.
So I take all of my anger and my pain and my anguish and I put it into my writing.
Okay.
And,
that's beautiful.
And I found it very healing. And I found out a lot of people on my blog that I write for, we all need a hero. So that's what we become. Feels the same way, and they say to me, I could never say that.
Okay. So you're a true warrior. Absolutely. In my eyes, you're a true warrior.
I can't, and you know, we have our hard times in our relationships with our families because of what happened to us, because we were never taught the right love or what a family truly is. I never really found that out until like I got married later on, and I had kids. I got married very young at 19, 20 years old. My husband literally, he came in. I remember this day because he saved my life. I used to dance. I used to be a aerobics teacher years ago. And I did something where I hurt my leg. So I went to the hospital because it hurt. And I had one of those air casts on. And I walked in my house. And he was helping me. And the next thing I knew, I was being chased down by the monster in his underwear, threatening to kill me because I wasn't home at a certain time. My husband just grabbed me and I left that house. I never went back.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm so glad that he came along.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that no one is sitting there at the moment going, why didn't she leave earlier? I don't want anybody to be watching you and sitting in judgment.
I had no money.
No money, and you were probably trauma bonded as well, and the only people around sometimes are the ones that we can't leave. We see this in women with domestic violence. We see this in, like, it was all you ever knew as well. So for anyone sitting out there in judgment, I want you to just not do it. Just listen with an open heart.
And, you know, my teenage years, once I hit a certain age, the sexual abuse stopped. You know, I guess pedophiles, like, you know, when the girls get older.
Yeah, some of them, that's right. That's their MO.
And I don't think that I was the only one. I think that he had other, you know, girls, women that he was doing these things to. Now he's dead.
Okay.
She's dead. They died actually a week apart. And to make up for everything that he did to me, he gave me the house that I was abused in. I didn't want it. But I had a family now. I had in-laws, father-in-law that just had a heart attack. He couldn't work anymore. They were losing their house, you know. And when I moved back into that house, I know I'm going to get judged for this because nobody does that. And I know nobody does that. I did not want to do it. Okay? This was a choice that I made for my family.
Okay, that was huge. That was a very, very kind and difficult choice by the sounds of it. You chose to go back into the house where you were actually, all of the abuse happened to you because it was given to you by the guy who adopted you, so you inherited it. And then your parents-in-law were about to lose their house. So you did that for your children and your parents-in-law. That must have been very hard for you. You must have a huge heart, Alyce, to have put yourself back in there.
I actually have, and I'm going to be very honest with you, I still have resentment for them for having to do that.
Okay, that'd be totally normal.
You want to be real.
Yeah. Well, why wouldn't you? Well, I mean, really, that would be totally normal.
My kids would, you know, because my husband knew how I felt about it. And then they sold their house, my in-laws. They had to. And then my husband gutted the inside of the house.
Okay.
And didn't try to leave nothing, no reminders or anything.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter because it's the land, it's the plot.
Yep. It's all the triggers, all the memories, all the walls, unless you pretty much, I don't even know how you would get around that. I don't even know if taking the entire house down and building another one would make much difference because it's still the land.
It's the land. It's the land. Not a good idea because every memory in my childhood came flooding in.
Okay.
Things I didn't remember. It was horrible.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry that happened.
Forced me to seek help.
Okay.
Which is one good thing. I started seeing psychiatrists, psychologists to find out why I felt the way I did, why I didn't think like other people did. Was I crazy? Was there something wrong with me? What's wrong with me? You know, because you've come out of your fight or flight.
Yeah.
And now you're floating around in like a sea of afterthoughts and trying to navigate yourself through. How am I going to do this? This doesn't feel right. This isn't what I remember. And it was at times it was too much. And there's only so many people you can talk to.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank God for my first psychiatrist. I had her for 8 years. She helped me a lot.
I'm glad. I'm really glad.
And then she sent me to EMDR, which, if you ask me what it is, it's electrodes that are being attached to the palm of your hands, and the doctor is asking you about what did you do, think of something that happened to you, what comes to your mind that happened to you when you were a kid. And the electrodes beep back and forth, boop, like that. So you're not focusing on the trauma, you're supposed to be focusing on the electrodes in your hand.
And you found this very helpful?
Yes. It's expensive. I don't think it's expensive anymore, but it was expensive back then. And you would learn to watch what happened to you as I thought of as a train going by.
Okay.
You're not, it's like, you're not there.
Okay.
You're just watching it, and you have to learn how to watch it as not being a participant. Yeah.
So you become the watcher of your thoughts.
Which is
a very different space.
Yeah, which is what the little, like, it's like it goes back and forth, and you do focus on those things. And you go through your entire memory, and until you stop crying, or until the doctor thinks that you're okay with it. That's the only time that it stops.
Okay.
I found that so helpful.
Okay.
And if it's available where you live, if it's free, if you have it in your health plan, I highly recommend EMDR, because it really helped a lot, you know, the way I looked at things.
Okay. I'm really, really glad that you're able to seek treatment.
Oh, I was, yeah. I was so scared that I was going to kill myself that I put myself in therapy.
That's a very, very good thing that you've just said then. So for anybody out there who'll be watching this, and I've been watching on Twitter, there's a few people saying that this new year they're going to do this to themselves, that to themselves. Get yourselves some help. Alyce is talking from a background of somebody who has serious abuse, and she is saying, go, the help is there, get the help, it works. Listen, please, don't just think that there's nothing out there. You've got to go and be active and get the help.
There are a lot of people like me out there that that have blogs like mine that I share with.
What is that called? The what blogs?
There are a lot of people out there who, many of my friends, they have the blog and they write about
have the blogs.
What happened.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
right.
So, some of them have substance abuse. Some of them are, you know, recovering from drugs, and some of them are recovering from abuse, which is, to me, it's all the same.
Yep.
So what I decided to do was I wrote. I like to take pictures. I mean, I guess I'm an amateur photographer, if you want to call it that. And when I write on my blog, I write on top of my pictures.
Yes, they're beautiful too.
They're
beautiful.
Yeah, for a visual. And the picture always matches what I'm writing.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes it's for someone, like somebody could have said something, you know, to me in Messenger, and I just had to write something for them.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. And by doing that, you're changing the energy in the world that exists, and you're raising other people up. And that saying, we rise by lifting others. That's what you do. That's what you're doing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I have a planner that just got published. It's the name of my blog. We all need a hero, so that's what we become. It's not on Amazon yet. It's on eBay right now.
Okay.
And my dog Molly, my Labrador Retriever, is on the front with a cape.
Okay, so you've got a planner that people can go and buy, and what planner for?
The planner is for a couple things. The planner is for people who are in sobriety and they're counting their days, and I have stickers for them to count their days.
Okay. That's good.
The planner is the planner is for women who have just left the situation. Okay, they are where I was years ago.
Okay.
They may not be a kid, they may be a woman that this happens to, or a man, and it's to count the days that you are not in that position anymore, to remind yourself, I'm not there anymore.
Okay, so is it just for people in sobriety, or is it for anybody who's left any kind of situation that
No, I mean, it could be just a planner to anybody who wants an uplifting poem.
Okay,
but
we can all do with that.
you know, but I made it for people who, you know, for especially the people who need to, you know, put, you know, like, okay, today is the 5th and I did good and I am not in that situation anymore. And you put a sticker. It's something that you can go back and look at.
Okay, so where can people get that from, Alyce?
Right now it's on eBay.
eBay? Okay, so if they go to eBay and they look under We All Need a Hero, so that's what we become,
Yeah.
it will be in there. How much is it?
It's $10. Hold on, I'm looking at the thing right now. My iPad is stuck again. But it will be on Amazon very, very soon. I'm also having a mug that I'm selling. It's, you know, it's just a cute little mug to have, you know, to remind yourself to be that hero.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's, yeah.
My, hold on, I have to go into my message. Frozen. Anyway,
can I go through the Senpai model with you?
Please do.
We've got 8 minutes left.
Let's go.
So we'll show people the quick version, because the Senpai model is also something that is available out there to help people. So this is a free model. So we use this model. Here it is here. So if you ask somebody, are you okay? And they actually say no, then this is what we go to. So you can sit with anybody out there in the community who's lonely, who's upset, who's having a terrible time. If you don't know how to sit with somebody who's struggling, if you don't know how to be with somebody who's in pain, get a copy of the free PDF, www.senpai.net. Go in and have a look. It's an acronym. It stands for sleep, emotions, meet your basic survival needs, physical health, and inclusion in community. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly show you how to model it with Alyce. So when I say, how's your senpai, Alyce?
Yes.
Let's look at S for sleep and safety. So how was your sleep overall in the last night or the last week? And when you started to go to sleep, did any thoughts keep you awake?
Before I go to sleep, 1,000 thoughts go through my head.
Was there a thought that stood out at all, Alyce?
I'm thinking, so one thought that stood out to me was, okay, New Year's coming. What's going to happen?
Okay.
And it's more of a fear-based.
Okay, so you're having a fear thought before you're going to sleep?
It's not like I'm going to do this. No. To be very, 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 very honest, it is fear-based.
Okay. Would you like to speak about this thought? Now that's number 4 on the questions.
Okay. I think this stems from it has to stem from childhood, because I was never heard. I was never seen. So I have this thing in me where I'm kind of always the underdog, you know, like I'm always helping other people, but then I get it to the point where, well, what about me?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And it's and I don't like that thought, because it bothers me, because it's like a very what's the word I'm looking for? It's like oh shoot, I can't think of it. It's like someone who it's like I don't know, like an arrogant thought, if I'm using the right word. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm for a loss of words right now.
It's okay. You've done a lot of talking for the last hour.
And
So,
there's someone saying hi to me, Alira.
oh yes, Alyra.
Yeah,
Yes.
I wanted to wave back at her, but I'm waving back at you now.
So considering everything that you've just spoken about for the last hour, this question alone might be just a little bit tricky. So I'll just go over to E for emotions. So are you feeling any upsetting emotion at the moment?
Right now I am letting, this is what I learned, I am letting myself feel this emotion right now to release some of it.
Okay, good.
And to also show you that, yes, I survived. I help other people, but I still have things that I have to work on because I am a person. I'm not going to sit here, or I'm not going to post stuff saying, you can be better in a week. It's like those commercials.
Yeah, it takes a lifetime sometimes.
My life is this. And you know what? I'm okay with it now.
Okay. So I'll just jump, because we're running out of time, over to meet your basic needs. So Alyce, have you had enough to eat and drink today?
No.
Okay. Do you have enough clothing to keep you warm at the moment?
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel safe and free to ask for food, water, and clothing?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have anything else that you'd like to talk about with regards to food, water, and clothing?
I'm just not a big eater, you know?
Okay.
But I do have clothes and other things, you know. Food isn't my main go-to.
Okay, well, I'll jump over to physical because we've got 2 minutes left. So how's your physical body feeling, Alyce?
I work out a lot because it helps get rid of the, you know, the anger, or especially the anxiety.
Okay. Are you noticing any unusual symptoms or pains? And if so, do you need some practical support at this time?
Well, what I do have is I have fibromyalgia. And I know that it's the disease, and this really bothers me. It's the disease that no one else sees but you, because you're the one feeling it. So there are days where it's hard to move or get out of bed, but I kind of force myself to. And the way my needs are met is me talking to myself in my head, Alyce, get up, because if you move, you'll feel better.
Okay.
And that's what it takes about a good 2 hours sometimes for me to get my butt out of that bed.
Okay.
You know.
The last question is inclusion in community. So we've got about 45 seconds. Are you feeling part of your community, Alyce?
No.
If not, okay. So the next few questions just go through. If not, would you like to talk about it? Is there experience hard or upsetting for you? So you can go through there. So if you want the PDF, you can just DM me and I can send it to you. But in the meantime, we've got about 20 seconds. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, Alyce, for sharing your really difficult story. And I really, really appreciate all of the words and everything that you've spoken today. And blessings